What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's going on with the market thus far, what you should be watching for as time progresses, what the news is saying about the markets in Tesla, what's happening with some big earnings that just came out, and how all of this news could affect Tesla going into tomorrow. But before I break anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very, very soon. Anyways, now let's talk about what's going on with Tesla just quickly. So Tesla's looking pretty good right now. When you look at the chart like this, you will notice that Tesla basically had this yellow trend line, this yellow line right here. This was our resistance. See, we rejected here once, twice, three times, four times, five times of just rejections off this yellow trend line. And then finally today, at the end of the day, the buyers stepped in. We saw lots of big flow coming into Tesla. Lots of these buyers stepped in, and Tesla managed to close above the trend line, which is a good sign of strength. And if we can maintain this, we're going to be looking for a bigger push for Tesla to the upside. If we could hold this could be a potential breakout for the stock. So I'll break down more details about this a little bit later into the video, but I first want to talk about some things affecting the whole market. So just as a reminder, today we just had Snap announcing its earnings. We have a couple of others as well. I'm just going to focus on Snap temporarily. And then for tomorrow, we have Alibaba before the market opens, alongside Uber and a couple of others. And then after the market closes, we have PayPal and Disney. PayPal is going to be a big one to pay attention to, so make sure you guys are ready for that. It might cause a bigger move in the markets. But for now, let's break down what's going on with Snap, as this thing just had its earnings, and it's not doing so well. This thing has dropped over 30% on the revenue miss and light guidance because of what's going on around the world, at least according to their perspective. So let's actually break this down. EPS was okay. They did all right with 8 cents adjusted. Revenue was a small miss at 1.36 billion. The daily global active users was just a little bit okay. It's just barely meeting expectations, but their average revenue per person was a little bit lower than expected, which is not too good. So not too good for them. And what's really caused them to drop is the fact that the market is very forward looking and their guidance was not the strongest. Weak guidance amidst what's going on around the world, not the best of news for them. So it is what it is, causing some downside. Now, when it comes to data affecting the markets, I want to call out something very important. An hour before the market opens tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the exports and imports data coming out for December. This is also going to give us the difference between them, which will calculate the balance of trade. We'll be watching to see what this looks like. This is going to be very important for understanding how trade is looking in America, understanding our economy, and how things have changed relative to the previous month. This is important, it might affect the market to some extent, so watch this an hour before the market opens if you guys can. Besides that, the data is very minor for tomorrow until around 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a bunch of Fed speakers, and this is going to be very important because today Kashkari was giving a speech and he actually said things that caused the market to dip just a little bit. We saw SPY drop a few points before getting bought back up at the end of the day. So these Fed speakers could still affect the market, so be very careful. We have Kugler. I apologize if I said that wrong. Kugler from the Fed is going to start first. And Kugler, according to this chart, is basically a little bit in the middle between being a hawk and being a dove. So those who are dovish are the ones on the top. They tend to be the ones that don't say as many stringent things. And the more hawkish ones are the ones who tend to say things that are, uh, you know, more hawkish in terms of data for like monetary policy. The ones who are more strict and are more likely to cause the market to dip. So first off, we have Kugler, who's kind of in the middle, so it shouldn't cause much. Then we have Collins and Barkin, right? Collins and Barkin, who are both not that bad. Collins is known for being in the middle as well. Barkin is a little bit more hawkish, but it's kind of in the middle as well. Nothing too bad. However, at the end of the day, we do have Bowman at 2 p.m. Bowman is going to be giving a speech, and he is a little bit more on the hawkish side, so it might affect the market a little bit more. Besides that, everything else is very minor. Most of the people are just pretty much in the middle, not too hawkish, not too dovish. So it's going to be fine. I don't expect anything too bad for tomorrow for that reason. So watch for that once again at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. tomorrow if you're trading. Watch and see if they say anything. It could cause some irregularities in the market. For the fear and greed index, we're currently getting very close to extreme greed. We're not quite there yet, which means that there is technically room for SPY to push higher alongside the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, and etc. Market momentum is at extremes, which tells us that the market is still risky. So you want to be a little bit careful at these highs. But that doesn't mean the market is done yet. It could still push a little bit higher. The puts and call positioning is kind of dropping a bit as we're starting to see a lot of puts being closed and calls being bought. And market volatility is just kind of being adjusted as the VIX is just barely at the 50 daily moving average. So the VIX is showing some weakness, which is because of the market pumping. And we're going to see if this thing ends up losing the 50 daily moving average. We're at support right now on the VIX. I'll be watching that going into tomorrow. I also want to mention that when it comes to Tesla, we had some news that came out. Basically, what's going on is SAP removed Tesla from its list of company car suppliers, and they said this amidst what's going on with their price fluctuations, as they're saying that Tesla is priced that fluctuate a lot more than other manufacturers. So it is what it is. I mean, this news came out a little bit earlier today, so it's not the end of the world, and that's kind of minor for them. So it's still not affecting Tesla that badly. We had a good article that came out that's saying that the low margins are not a problem, but still too risky for Tesla. So yes, the margins are not the best for Tesla. They have declined. I do agree with that, that, margins are dropping. I don't think that's very good for Tesla for the short term. But for the long term, I'm sure Tesla will find its way back up. But this article did bring up good points, such as with the automobile industry evolving with different margins basically coming out there. High production is going to help offset that. And then on top of that, we just want to mention that Tesla has competitive advantages relative to other automakers. So they actually have very, very nice structures out there for FSD development. They have very, very nice looking systems for their production capabilities. And this puts Tesla at a big edge compared to others. So lowering prices does benefit them from a business cycle to some extent. There are some positives to that, such as getting some more sales, bringing up demand, but their margins are still at risk. So it is something that's worth noting. So I found this to be a pretty good article. They gave some good points about Tesla and their valuation. I think that for the short term, margins are going to be something that's worth noting, and it is a concern for me. But for the long term, Tesla is going to be just fine because of their comparative advantages, FSD, the robotaxi, and so many different factors. Volume was 123 million, above average. We're getting good volume. Buyers are stepping in. Tesla's looking better as the price relative to volume is dropping, which is telling us that we're seeing less short sellers and a little bit more buying on Tesla. On top of this, the price price ratio is starting to base here, which is showing signs that Tesla's starting to outperform the market again. Maybe not just solely outperforming, but it's trying to balance at least temporarily. And it is temporarily performing better than the market for now. Uh, this is basically Daiwa Capital. They're giving Tesla a neutral rating. Excuse me. The Piper Sandler analysts are giving Tesla an overweight rating, which is good news for Tesla, saying it's going to outperform the market. And we're seeing a lot of volatility, lots of buyers defending at this zone right here at 178 for Tesla. So for seasonality, at 11 a.m., expect some volatility. Also around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time are the two most volatile hours historically. Wednesdays tend to be green about 48% of the time, but it doesn't matter as much. And that's pretty much it for now. Financial estimates look good for Tesla. So, that being said, guys, now let's break down some very important details about the charts. Let's talk about how Tesla will likely move as time goes on. So, as far as Tesla goes, I just want to mention to everyone that Tesla got a nice bounce. It's trying to hold above its 4-hour 20 EMA. And if we manage to hold this, we're going to be looking for another attempt to go higher. But before that happens, we could see Tesla kind of retrace just a little bit, back test this trend line, then continue higher if we're bullish. So let me just paint out the bullish and bearish cases for just a second. And I'll show you guys what I think is a lot more likely. I'm not trying to do this to tell you I'm always right. My intention in doing this is just to try to be unbiased and simultaneously give you guys my opinion so that you're prepared for anything. And at the same time, I will tell you what my bias is, because once again, we could give our own predictions and we could say things. So for Tesla, if we're bearish, just hypothetically, if something bad happens, you want to see Tesla lose this trend line right here and lose 182. If we lose it, 180 is going to be our next target. And if we fail to break out like that, if we establish a lower high like this and we end up losing 180 again, that is the more bearish case. We need a bad piece of news for this to happen. So make sure you're prepared just to be safe. If we're bullish on Tesla, you want to see Tesla basically break. You want to see it basically backtest this area, possibly then start to break out, break the highs in the 186s and hit 188. And if we do that, I think we could start pushing for the 190 area. What do I think is more likely to happen? What is my view of Tesla? What do I predict is going to pan out? Well, looking at Tesla, we have a breakout right now. But generally, when you have breakouts, you don't want to just count the first day. You want to give it time and see if this holds going into the next day. So, with that being said, as long as Tesla could hold this level, as long as we hold above this yellow trend line going into tomorrow, as long as we could try to like, even if we do like come below it temporarily, we want to get bought back up above and maintain this 184 zone. If we could do this, there's a very good chance that soon Tesla will start pushing back up towards 188. And if we end up breaking that, 190 is going to be our next target. So I do favor this. If anything, I think Tesla's going to try to hold in this range and try to bounce. So as long as we hold, there's a good chance we're going to start pushing higher. I'm also looking at SPY and seeing some bullish signals. So I think that SPY could also help Tesla. Why is that? Why am I saying SPY has these signals? Let me show you. SPY is looking pretty good because when you zoom out of the charts, what are we doing? We got this breakout and we're holding in the upper part of this. We're holding up so nicely. We're not collapsing, coming back down. We're holding up here, which is a very good sign. So when you zoom in, notice that we have a nice accumulation structure right over here. This is looking like very Wyckoff-like. So we have a nice Wyckoff accumulation structure that's developing, and we're trying to push up higher. You guys can see this quite clearly. So just to clarify this, if you want to be bearish, well, here's the thing. It's kind of hard to be really bearish because we first need to see SPY lose 492, then 491, and remember, today we just held 492 very nicely. We touched it so many times and bounced off of it. And the last time we hit 491, what happened? We didn't maintain that. We just got bought back up, which shows the buyers had control. But to be bearish, you basically want to see SPY close below 491, and that's a little bit far from where we currently are. If you're bullish, you basically want to see this thing break above 494. And if it breaks that, our next target is 496. Uh, I think that we could reach that, but we'll have to see where it breaks from there. If we break that, then it's basically all-time high territory. This is unmarked territory. We never saw SPY this high before, so it could break out even higher. What do I think is more likely? Excuse me, guys. I apologize. What is more likely? What do I think is going to happen? And here's my answer. This. I think we're most likely going to see SPY fight at 494. It might reject at first, trade sideways. Then we're going to see a breakout, and I think we're going to be pushing towards 496 based off technicals and based off data that's been coming out so far. So I think 496 is coming, and we might consolidate up here. And then we'll have to see if we could break that. If we break it, then 497 is coming, 499, higher levels all the way up here, towards new all-time highs. So we'll have to watch it up there. But I do believe the most likely possibility is a nice accumulation is forming and a push for 496 on SPY. Now, what about for the QQQ? Unfortunately, the QQQ is not looking as strong. We actually got this little break. So we were forming a nice bullish wedge, but we failed to get that breakout. We actually came back down below. So it's kind of shuffling in the 427 zone. So I think there's a very good chance that it might attempt to go a little higher with the market. We could approach 429, but in my opinion, it's also going to depend a lot on Nvidia. It's been tracking Nvidia very well. So I think that tomorrow the QQQ is going to start a little bit lower, and we might attempt to break out higher and then just shuffle in this zone. We have tight resistance at 429 to 430. We have nice support at 425. If we lose 425, we turn a little bit more bearish for 423.8. So those are some levels to watch for. I think the most likely possibility is us coming down, then reaccumulating up here and trying to push up, but then remaining range bound in this range up here because it's kind of struggling to break 430. It's not as strong looking as SPY, at least for now. What about for Nvidia? Nvidia, in my opinion, is looking very similar. Nvidia has pushed up to 700. That was the target we talked about yesterday. But instead of holding it, we rejected. So it's very tight resistance. Now, Nvidia hit this low right here at 666, the level we called out. We're going to be watching to see if Nvidia could bounce and try to push up again. I think there's a good chance it might grab liquidity down here and start pushing back up towards 690. So we might see a little attempts to bounce, but I'm going to be very careful at 700. I think that Nvidia will rebound a little bit and then just trade within this range in the 680s as time goes on. So I'm not expecting a massive run. I think it's hitting some tough resistance, might rebound a little bit and just trade sideways up there. So make sure you watch support at 670 and then 666. Watch resistance at 680 if we get above 675, and then 687 and 692 and then 700. I think that Nvidia will rebound a little bit and trade sideways in this range, at least for the time being. For Apple, I think Apple's looking bullish. I called out this inverse head and shoulders like 5, 6 days ago, right? We were talking about this. And so far, we have this nice inverse head and shoulders that's panning out. Apple might come down, grab liquidity in the 188s, then push up higher towards 190.5, which if we break 192 is going to be our next target. This looks bullish, nice inverse head and shoulders. Going to be looking for 192 very soon. The chart is favoring the bulls more than the bears. Okay. Also, when you zoom out, we're making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. I think 190 plus is coming. Now, with that being said, I went over the majority of tickers out there. Tesla also has the 4-hour 50 EMA around 190.73. So if we do hold above 184, that's going to be our next target. We'll see if Tesla could hold this still going into tomorrow. Look for a little rejection, just a temporary little back test of our support before an attempt to bounce. Now let's just talk about a couple more tickers. And this part's going to be a little bit fast, guys. I just want to be quick because I want to fit in as many tickers as possible. And I want to do this quickly. I don't want to make this video like 30 minutes long. So for Rivian, it looks bullish. It's going to test 15.69. If we break this, look for a bigger push towards 16 plus. If we reject off this, we're going to be returning to 15.36. But I think it's going to be testing 15.69. We'll have to see if that breaks. For SoFi, SoFi is looking bullish. Watch 17.91. We're going to likely test that. If we break that, 18.1 is coming. If we reject, we're going to be returning back to this level right over here. So I think it's going to push a little higher and watch resistance. If it breaks 17.91, 8.1 is coming. For the IWM Russell 2000, buyers have stepped in. If we're bullish, we want to see it break 194.45. If that breaks, 196 is likely going to be coming. The chart is favoring the bulls. So let's see this test of 194.45. If that breaks, it's going to push even higher. For Microsoft is indecisive. If we break 406, look for a push towards 409. If we lose 404, a bigger drop is coming towards 402. What do I think it's doing? It's just indecisive. It's been going back and forth between the 50 and 20 EMAs. So we'll see what it does. Honestly, guys, I'm in the middle right now. I'm just going to be patient. So we'll just wait and see. For AMD, this in turn is looking kind of bearish. We talked about this yesterday. I could see this thing actually dropping a little bit more towards 165. We're going to be watching this liquidity zone, 163.15, like around there, and then 165. Might drop a little bit and then rebound and trade sideways. So look for a little bit more downside. Still looks kind of weak. For the VIX, this is looking bearish because of the market dragging it down. It does look to me like it's going to be testing the 12s, which suggests that SPY can push higher. It's losing the 4-hour 50 EMA, but we're going to be watching to see if the daily 50 moving average ends up breaking or not. This is looking bearish though, which is a bullish signal for the markets. The market might be causing that. It is causing that, and it might cause even more downside for the VIX. The dollar index, it's going to test 104.06. And if we lose that, 103.75 is coming. It's looking a bit more bearish, which tends to be bullish for the markets. For Coinbase, we're going to likely rebound towards 123. If we break that at 126.5 is coming, look for a little attempt at 123. We'll see if this breaks or not. But I think it's going to be testing 123 first, and we'll see if it rejects or not. For Google is holding above 145, but it also has resistance at 146.27. If we break 146.27, going to be looking for a nice push to even higher levels. Then we could just get very close to 150 if we break that, but we haven't gotten a close above that yet. This does look like it's going to attempt to push up. We're kind of indecisive, but the chart is favoring the bulls slightly more. So we'll see if we can break 146.27. If we do so, 150 is coming next. For Amazon, I called out some downside after this monstrous run that we got, and that's what's been happening. Now, we're going to be testing 167.22. If we lose this, a bigger drop to 163 is coming. If we hold this, we're going to rebound into the 170s. So watch and see. Do we hold 167.22? We might test this, and if we bounce, we're pushing back to the 170s. If we lose it, we turn bearish, so watch for that test. Same thing on Meta, exact same setup. We got this monstrous pump, now we're coming back down. Watch 448. Okay, if we lose that, bigger drop is coming. If we hold it, we could bounce back into the 460s. So watch 448. If we lose that, I'm going to be watching this thing basically approach 440 after that. So watch and see if it bounces or not. That's going to be key for tomorrow. With that being said, the market is still dominated by the bulls. SPY is still getting dominated by these bulls. They keep buying everything up and they're still holding up the market nicely. Tesla's also showing a lot of strength after getting that breakout. So there's a good chance that this breakout should continue. And I think that Tesla will most likely attempt to do so. But just to be safe, watch your levels, be kind of patient when watching it, and let's see how Tesla reacts to this back test. So I'm thinking I might back test this trend line and try to bounce off here back into this liquidity zone. 188 is a real possibility. Above that, 190 plus is coming. But first, let's see if Tesla bounces and holds. I think there's a very good chance it will. And I think that the market could be set up for a very, very nice push, at least temporarily, right? I'm not a big bull for the next 6, 7 months. I'm just saying for now, let's just focus on tomorrow. The market looks like it might push more looking at the current technicals. All right, that's it for this one. Have a great day, guys. Remain calm, cool, and collected. Have a great day. I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome night. And you guys just remain very calm going into tomorrow. Tesla to the moon because the long term is very bright alongside for the market. And peace out.